Have a mighty evening, all you resilient folks.
Good evening.
Have a mighty evening, all you spiteful folks. Well, let's get straight to the point. Zelensky has problems again. Another reason to be embarrassed. Honestly, I don't know how it's possible to have so many failures in such a short time, but some people manage it. That's why we have such powerful leaders. So let's see what's going on. The fact is, the National Military Cemetery has basically started to sink. The very one that was opened with great pomp by Zelensky himself and the chairman of the Verkhovna Rada, Stefanchuk. By the way, he's also a former KVN member. Yushchenko, who is now raising bees and apparently enjoying life. And besides, there was a recent scandal between Poland and Ukraine when Ukraine found the remains of Melnik somewhere, some nationalist hero again, and reburied him in that cemetery. Yushchenko was there again, as well as Zelensky, Stefanchuk, and many others. Earlier, a year ago, when this cemetery was being built, people who knew where it was being built said that it would get flooded, and there would be problems. But no, they built it, showed off, skimmed some budget funds, and now what? Now this is the situation. Everything got flooded, washed away. Well, this is just crazy. According to the organization, plus after the downpour, the water washed out the dirt roads, the asphalt collapsed. Here, this cemetery collapsed. In short, this is just crazy. And on top of everything, the fill layer that was used to raise the area was also washed away. This whole picture is shown here. I mean, everything is so washed out here. Well, there won't be any horror here, so you don't have to worry. But the horror is in what's happening overall. That is, about 1,000 people are buried there, and in the end, this is what happened. And again, they were warned. They warned that you can't build here, that something like this would happen. But no, everyone thinks they know better, and now apparently they're trying to fix the situation in a hurry. But you see, you can't fix this situation. And again, what do those in power do? They say it's normal. It's normal. You know, why are you upset about this? It's just natural soil compaction. If you think this is sarcasm, it's not. It's really true. So, the press service of the National Military Memorial Cemetery stated that this is natural soil compaction. On Facebook, they stated that, yes, come on, this process is natural after traditional burials. This happens at all cemeteries. We are talking specifically about natural soil compaction at burial sites, not about erosion or the effects of groundwater. They say natural soil subsidence occurred exclusively within the plots and nowhere else. And then, once these things are removed, permanent burials will be arranged. They say this approach ensures their durability, reliability, and proper appearance. But here you can only be amazed at how clueless these people are, or how brazenly they try to lie. Because, well, I think almost all viewers, unfortunately, have people who have already passed away. And many of us have taken part in the burials of both relatives and, sadly, friends. And we all know a little about what it looks like after a month, after two, after a year, when monuments are built, when things happen, and in general, that's not how it looks. It shouldn't look like that. It really looks like money is being siphoned from the budget, from taxpayers' pockets, for the purpose of enriching those involved in all of this. The budget has been spent. Someone somewhere built themselves a house. Someone went somewhere on vacation. And in the end, people whose relatives are buried there have to witness all this horror. And no one investigates anything. That's how it should be. Everything is fine. Everything is calm. The country has money. Europe will sponsor everything. Here, as they say, no comment. The second serious topic today is the attack on Crimea, the bombing, the power outage. And again, the joy over the fact that there are power outages there again is just like what happened in 2014. I've said many times that, well, yes, this is what happens again. Right after Crimea was annexed, they immediately cut off electricity and water, like you'll survive somehow. Now, on the one hand, they mark Crimea as part of Ukraine on maps, but on the other hand, why should we supply water and electricity? This is still about 2014. I'm saying not to Ukrainians like, let Russia worry about it. Well, that's very strange. It's one thing if they had just left everything as it was, then I think there would have been people, many would have said, well, really, that's how it is. But now it's just another reason for those who are no longer there to be glad, to wonder why they're not there. And now there's a new wave. In just 2 days, drones have hit 16 power facilities in the south. It turns out they're isolating Crimea and turning it into an island. Ukrainian drone forces have been deployed. In 48 hours, they struck 16 power facilities in the southern territories and in Crimea. And they say that Russia's military presence on the peninsula is being systematically isolated. There are a lot of jokes going around, and people are saying that 37 power facilities have been shut down in Crimea, with the last 16 turned off for 2 days. Substations in Crimea, the Kherson, Luhansk, and Zaporizhia regions have come under attack. One of the most powerful targets was the 330 kV Western Crimean substation. The 220 kV Bakhchisarai, 150 kV Henichesk, and 110 kV Saki substations in Crimea. He also added that systematic strikes are making life on the peninsula increasingly difficult. And apparently some people are happy that life has gotten worse for others. Honestly, I don't understand it. It's like, on one hand, when Ukraine is being bombed, I look at the comments on my channel and on other channels. There are also some terrible comments like, "You deserve it." And some say, "It should be even more. Now we'll wake up." And I think, people, who are you? What is this, like in the movie Brat? People used to be people. But now it's the same with Crimea. I mean, on one hand, people are already suffering there. On the other hand, there's wild joy from all sorts of people, not just the Supreme Commander-in-Chief, but everyone else too. But it's kind of horrible. People should remain human. It's the military who are fighting. And when people start writing all sorts of horrible things, it's just, well, paint it white, paint it red, they're still people. Then they say that the strikes on oil refineries in Russia caused the worst fuel crisis in decades. Well, I've already shown this picture before when the oil refinery is speaking. Ukraine continues to attack Russia's energy infrastructure. And this, they tell us, has driven Russia into the worst fuel crisis in several decades. These aren't my words, that's what the Financial Times says. And the author of this data is a Polish analytical group that monitors the war. It stated that in May, Ukrainian drones struck Russian oil refineries 16 times. Since the beginning of 2026, the plants have been attacked at least 194 times, which is 11 times more than during the same period a year earlier. Analysts explain the increase in strike effectiveness by saying that Kyiv has sharply increased drone production and improved the management of the entire operation. According to high-ranking officials, U.S. intelligence assistance has also played a role. The Americans helped plot routes for drones to bypass air defense systems. And a representative of the air defense program with a rather complicated name, that's all. An expert says Ukraine has made a technological breakthrough that has allowed it to produce more long-range drones and ramp up mass production overall. As for the figures provided by the Russian Ministry of Defense, in just the first half of the year, they shot down drones over Russia and the annexed territories. Over the occupied territories, in total, almost 64,000 Ukrainian drones. Can you imagine the scale? 64,000 drones. That's tons and tons of these devices. Some of them are big, some are small, but all of them are produced somewhere and delivered somewhere. Half of all reported interceptions happened in the last days of the month, about 14,000 in May and almost 18,000 in June. In January and February, the monthly figures didn't exceed 6,000. Then, a representative of this analytical agency stated that Ukraine is not just carrying out more strikes. That campaign has evolved from relatively limited actions against oil infrastructure into a broader strategic operation, aimed at depleting Russia's energy, logistics, industrial, and export systems all at once. Well, and apparently everything is being done to weaken the Russian Federation, and as Zelensky says, to bring Putin to the negotiating table. The other day he invited, or rather, he didn't invite, but said that Putin should come to Konstantinovka, which, as it turns out, hasn't been captured. And to prove this, Zelensky decided to meet with Putin in Konstantinovka. It's pretty strange, but then it turned out that these games can be played by two people as well. I mean, two countries are basically playing the same games. And someone wins, someone loses, but there's nothing good about any of this. For example, Ukraine is already facing gasoline problems, and Russia is not attacking oil refineries, which I don't even know if there are any in Ukraine, but if there are, they're probably somewhere far in the west, but they're attacking gas stations. And specifically along the highways that the military needs to supply their equipment with what? Fuel. There are several videos of this, so they're driving, everything seems fine, cars are parked, and suddenly there's destruction. Here's another gas station along the same highway. Another one is destroyed and cars there are destroyed too. So all of this happened spontaneously. A destroyed fuel truck and the gas station is also bombed out, collapsed. These are several videos from different people. Here's a man talking about what's happening.
Information for those who are planning to travel from Dnipro to Kharkiv. Guys, fill up your tanks in Dnipro because on the way to Kharkiv there isn't a single working gas station. You won't be able to refuel anywhere. I just drove through and there's nothing. I only have half a tank left and there's still a long way to go to Kharkiv. So keep this in mind.
Yeah, that's how things are. And what do we have here? Drivers are saying that there really aren't any surviving gas stations on the highways. Before getting behind the wheel, they recommend stocking up on fuel. So let's take a look at what's happening here. Many drivers posted these things, and the highway itself is shown. That means for 3 hours you won't be able to refuel at all. There's no official confirmation of this, but that's to be expected. I think they'll say it's nothing like that, that it's all some information psychological op, that it's all lies. And actually you can scoop up fuel right out of the ditches there and refuel, and in Ukraine gasoline even gushes from underground. I think the official reaction will be exactly like that. But there are even more sources. One of them claims that a similar situation is observed on the Dnipro-Kryvyi route. This highway goes right into the city of Volodymyr Zelensky, and the Russian armed forces are carrying out targeted strikes. Strikes on fuel logistics facilities. Drivers are strongly advised. It is recommended to fill up your tanks before the trip, not during it. On top of that, some geniuses from the Sumy regional administration claim that Russia intends to strike gas stations in Sumy and other regions. This is analysis at the BOK level, and apparently the head of this analytical office holds the rank of Captain Obvious, or maybe even higher, Admiral No-Brainer. Because suspecting that after some strikes there will be more strikes, well, only Zelensky could have figured that out, the one who was telling people from Orlandia that Ukrainians, be careful, you'll be bombed here at night, I'll come and take a look. I already made a video about this when he came and did some PR at the destroyed 9-story building. All construction work to clear the rubble was stopped during that time, and they even put a police officer in every excavator, so to speak. And those very police officers were peeking out from there, and what did they do? They recorded everything on camera. It was just wonderful. Now, according to the head of the Sumy military administration, they are planning to go to Russia to bomb other gas stations as well. We urge residents of the region to temporarily refrain from visiting gas stations and not to be near their premises unless absolutely necessary. Well, obviously, a driver passing by a gas station would think, yeah, I remember the head of the Sumy military administration warned me, so I won't be in the immediate vicinity of the gas station. I don't need gas, I'll just keep driving. On solar energy or something else, in general, the warning is also on another level. Honestly, I'm tired of even commenting on this. Next, it's that Poland's relations with Ukraine are rapidly deteriorating. It seems like Ukraine has gone too far with its neighbors and nothing good is coming out of it. Honestly, no one is seeking peace with Poland. I honestly don't understand why. Either they've already gotten everything they wanted from Poland or they just don't care about what's happening anymore. And these people who are trying to manage the process think, well, everything will sort itself out. We've already improved relations with the US and with someone else too. Now he even met with Nasri himself from a Latin American country. I forgot, Paraguay, I think the last name is quite telling. Yeah, so there are no more problems. Nasri will help us. And now they're announcing here that Poland is going to reveal all the data about the military aid it has provided to Ukraine. At the same time, the reason is a scandal during which it was claimed that Poland had provided some missiles and now they're going to analyze every penny. It would also be interesting to check who took what, not just who gave what. That would be just perfect. And the minister said that he would hold everyone accountable regardless of immunity. But that's about the Poles, not the Ukrainians. Next, Germany suddenly announced that it doesn't see the need to supply tourist missiles to Ukraine. Zelensky had been requesting these missiles for a long time, saying that the country desperately needed them and that nothing would work without them. And then everything started pouring in like rain, like out of a horn of plenty. These stories about Ukrainian pink flamingos flying into the sunset and bombing everything beneath them are coming from some Russian sources. And now the Germans are like, oh, so you have your own missiles, why do you need ours? Ukraine has never looked as good as it does now, says the defense minister. On the battlefield, there is almost no movement, sometimes a few kilometers one way, sometimes the other, but always with incredible losses for the Russian armed forces. And most importantly, Ukraine is increasingly able to strike targets on Russian territory, thereby destroying oil refineries and military logistics, the minister said. So that's how things are. There are absolutely no problems at all, none. No weapons issues because we can handle it ourselves, as Zelensky said, or something like that. Ukraine has become so attractive to its own citizens that some have even started posting videos about returning to Ukraine. And you might be surprised, there's a video where a girl returns with her draft-eligible boyfriend, and she says that life in Ukraine is much better than in Spain. I've been living in Spain for many years and I'm already a citizen of this country, but here they say, here in Kiev we're being bombed, but it's no big deal, it's still better than living in Spain. Can you imagine? Let's take a look. I suggest this because not even the most powerful leaders can outdo this girl. And here, by the way, commentators are asking the question, well, it's clear that no one in their right mind would do something like this. Apparently, there's something going on there. There's a suggestion that besides 1,000 talking heads, the president's office is now also forming a network of thousands of small-time influencers. There, with follower counts of 2,000 or 3,000. They're widely pushing the narrative that everyone is coming back.
Back in Ukraine after Spain, and I'll honestly tell you what it's like. That night in Ukraine was a terrible night, and even after such a night, I wouldn't go back to Spain.
Even after they were bombed, they wouldn't go back to Spain, apparently because things are really bad in Spain.
There's your answer. Spain is great for vacation, but not for living, at least for my husband and me.
She returned to Ukraine with her husband, who is subject to military service. This is where some very interesting prospects open up, of course, because I know very few men who still travel to Ukraine. Some go there for various reasons, but most don't go anywhere because, those military enlistment officers and conscripted citizens immediately fall under their close supervision. It's quite strange.
I went to Ukraine and immediately found a job. Without any trouble in my native language, I took my dog to the vet.
She got a job in Ukraine. Things were tough in Spain where pay was low and she struggled, but in Ukraine she was immediately offered 5,000 euros. And you can also communicate in your native language. And this girl immediately thinks, no, I also need to take my dog to the vet.
It was funny, I ate and I got normal service, exactly in
Ukraine, the service is bad, and in Spain, the service is bad. I also say, yes, in Spain, it's always mañana, but some people face this, I think, in other countries too. No matter how many service people I've hired, everything was fine. Problems only came up very rarely. And just recently, by the way, a Ukrainian installed an air conditioner for me, a very good and responsible person. He called me right after we got in touch and made arrangements. He immediately showed me the prices for the air conditioner, told me right away when he could install it. I didn't have to wait for him even an hour. On the contrary, he came on Saturday morning to install the air conditioner. This is an official service. So all these stories about how, in Spain everything is like this, you can find dirt anywhere. I remember, sorry for the digression again, when I was vacationing in Turkey, I think it was my first trip abroad that wasn't a business trip, but just a vacation. And the hotel was pretty decent, 4 stars, the food was tasty, there was a pool, beer in the pool, the sea was nearby, it was wonderful. And then I came across some reviews and some couple posted that a screw had come loose from the ladder leading into the pool. Somewhere a mat was a bit torn, somewhere they saw a scratch on the wall. They posted about 30 similar photos and called it a terrible hotel. I said you can find dirt anywhere.
Where people get you and don't treat you like an outsider. Subscribe here for real-life emigration and returning home stories. And I think, how can you go back to a country where none of this exists after all that? Well, yeah.
Of course, I'll take cherries for 15. 15 hryvnias each. I recently posted about this on my channel too. By the way, subscribe to my Telegram channel. Just point your phone or tablet camera at this QR code and you'll go right where you need to. There's a lot of stuff there that you won't find on YouTube. Or if you're watching me from a mobile device, there's a direct link in the description down below.
You're a stranger, the language isn't yours, and you must wait 6 months to see a doctor.
You don't have to wait half a year to see a doctor. The doctor sees you almost right away, especially if you have private insurance, which costs up to 100 euros per person per month. Everything is great. You go, and if something is really urgent and they can't see you right now, they say, yes, it happens in 2 weeks, in a month. You go, pay 100 or 150 euros, and you get examined immediately. Well, I think your health is important. Private healthcare is like that everywhere. If you pay, you get service. Well, in Spain, by the way, they provide very good treatment and free healthcare too. I have a friend who was treated for cancer, a tumor, and it was free, even though it would have cost him 10 or 15,000 if he paid. And he did it through social insurance, thanks to the fact that he pays taxes, thanks to the fact that he has his own company. He did everything himself and pretty quickly. So all these stories, well, girl, we still have a fact from you. Show us.
Now I truly feel happy and free. No matter how many downsides there are here, this is my home. I'm a person who loves to travel, and I will keep traveling, but home always remains home, and my home is Ukraine.
Well, of course, everything is great. Everything is in your own home, and home is supposed to be comforting, especially when there's no electricity and when it's cold. I wonder, I'm more than sure that most likely this girl doesn't have a husband. I'm more than sure. She came, for example, to her mom's place, to her relatives, to a friend, shot a few videos like this. Mark my words, soon this will become clear for sure. And then she goes back and will just be posting photos from the beach, photos with paella, what do tourists do? And everything will go back to normal, and she'll say that either her studies started there, for example, or she was offered a job. She won't live in Ukraine, she's just a guest, and maybe there will be more of these videos in the last month, but most likely they'll be made by girls or by guys exempt from mobilization, which is also possible. So that's how it is. Write in the comments everything you think about this, and we'll say goodbye until the next video. Subscribe to the channel. Bye, everyone.
If we have real successes and now Russia might want negotiations, everything will be decided on the battlefield. If they're not advancing now and need to announce a major mobilization, they really don't want to since it's unpopular. Also, the army needs supplies, and Russia still faces major financial problems.